two years ago, I think it was, you gave a very moving Dvar Torah at Central Synagogue on Rosh Hashanah. And in it, you touched on the discrimination Jews of color face within the Jewish community. I think you actually gave a statistic that 80% of Jews of color say they've faced discrimination in the Jewish community themselves. I was hoping you could talk a little bit about your experiences as a Jew of color existing in, a predominantly white Ashkenazi Jewish communal framework.
Yeah, it's been a very long journey. My connection and discovery of my deep roots in Judaism. I grew up in New York. I was around Jewish influences and read Jewish books my whole life, and I didn't understand. I just thought my values were mine and they came from me and not the brilliant works of Abraham Joshua Heschel and Frank and everything that I read so early on that became a part of me. When I discovered that connection, it was mystical and magical, and I was so happy to come home. I was like, oh my God, I found my place. I've been here my whole life, and I just didn't know. And that illusion of homecoming was shattered a little bit time and time again when I would go to shul or go to Jewish spaces, and people just assumed that I knew nothing about Judaism, that I was not myself Jewish. And I would have to defend myself. Why are you here? Why are you Jewish? How are you Jewish? Oh, that's so cool. And there's almost this sense that I'm a tourist, right, in Jewish space. Like, let me show you around. This is what we do on Friday nights. And it's like, no, I've been here a lot. And it really sent me back to that place when I was a child and treated like an undocumented immigrant, a new immigrant who clearly did not belong. And belonging is that which I think all of us want most of all. And it made me really angry and made me question my faith, made me question whether I really was part of this community, especially in times when I would almost in a split second face both exclusion from the Jewish community and then anti-Semitism. I mean, there was this one example I had shared with you privately earlier. I was in a cab in Midtown Manhattan, and some of the members of the Chabad who, stop people on the street and say, are you Jewish? Are you Jewish? Which, by the way, Jews of color really want. The Ashkenazi Jews find it very annoying, but for us, it's an honor to be stopped. We text each other, we cheer when it happens. It only happened to me once when a little girl stopped me. So anyway, I was in this cab, and there's this guy just like knocking on windows of the car saying, are you Jewish? Are you Jewish? He knocks on every single window, including my cab driver who was white passing, except for mine. And when he knocked on my cab driver's window, my cab driver rolled down his window and he said, are you Jewish? And the cab driver was like, no, like kind of almost like offended. And the person keeps walking, knocking on the passenger window next to me, but not mine, and just passes me by. And I just feel so deeply unwanted and excluded. And then the cab driver turns around, looks at me, and he's like, these people, right? In disgust. And I don't know if he means, just general solicitations on the street, or he means Jews. I felt like it was anti-Semitism. And I was so taken aback by that whiplash of both someone in the community saying, I'm not Jewish, there's no way I could be Jewish, and someone being like, oh, these disgusting people. I was paralyzed in that moment of this deep sense of loyalty and commitment to my faith and my community, and also this utter rejection that I was frozen. I didn't know what to do. And to this day, I think back and I'm like, well, how could I not have said something, right? It's not like me to not say something. But in that moment, I was like, well, you don't want me. I don't want you either. And I think this is a struggle with faith that is perhaps in many ways unique to Jews of color in America. But it was Rabbi Heschel who wrote that faith can be a cornerstone of, a doubt can be a cornerstone of faith. And if you doubt, but you still believe, that means that your faith and your connection to God and spirituality is that much stronger. And it is a tension that I continue to have when I see how baked in some of these implicit bias and prejudices are in the American Jewish communities. I think it is changing. I'm seeing a lot of faith leaders tackling it. I'm seeing a lot of members of the Jews of color community tackling it, but I think we have a long ways to go. I think it's simply unacceptable for 80% of Jews of color to feel unwanted in Jewish spaces. We are all one. We are all part of the same family, the same tribe, and there's enough people outside our community attempting to divide us that we don't need to further that divide within.